In Nigeria, we've got a population of 200 million people, and we've got 1 in 8 legal problems in that population. So we've got an average of 25 million legal problems in Nigeria. So putting it in context, it's a big issue in terms of legal needs. It's a big issue for day-to-day for people going by their day-to-day activities. And we introduced justice clock specifically to the criminal justice system in Nigeria. And it's meant to help administer the process of arrest and arraignment in court. And Justice Clock was initially developed as a tool to manage the internal workings of Gavel and to help us monitor compliance with the Administration of Criminal Justice Act, a law here in Nigeria. However, over time, Justice Clock has gained adoption by 2 states in Nigeria, through which they monitor their own internal compliance and efficiency. So it's a case management software that helps with efficiency, streamline of processes, and it revolutionizes the way individuals work within the Ministry of Justice in the country. This is just a brief dashboard of the cases on a demo dashboard of the cases on Justice Clock, and you can see some of the analytics and case file ratio and all that. Essentially, we can't show a live feed, pardon us, because these are government data and they are sensitive data. And Justice Clock, within the criminal justice system, the ministry is responsible for arraigning people in the courts. They are the prosecutors. And they draft charge sheets as the originating process in these courts to prosecute people in court. And that is where we are integrating AI. So Justice Clock is a case management, but there is an AI feature which is somewhere here, if you could see AI assistant, that we introduced to the Justice Clock to help prosecutors draft charge sheets and file information within the court. So it would come up, it will help them draft the initial charge, and they can from there work and edit it. The AI has been trained with the local laws in Nigeria, specifically the laws in the Lagos and Ogun State, which have been adopted, and other relevant laws, and also judicial precedents that could help in, the AI to be more specific to issues and to the context and the facts presented. Produce is Uber for justice. So think of it as the way Uber connects riders to drivers. The same way Produce connects victims of injustice to lawyers in their location. With Produce, we introduced a Produce AI. What we did with that is that how can we put power in the hand of the people? So if you're facing simple legal problems, how can we use this AI to help you draft a letter of correspondence? So for example, your rent was recently increased. Is it 2024? Your landlord increased your rent by 40%, and you're struggling. Your neighbor's rents had not been increased. The whole environment you stay you reside in, their rent is still remains the same. How can you use this AI to communicate to your landlord, citing the relevant laws and the fact that in your environment nothing like that has happened, nothing like a rent hike has happened? So the AI could, for example, in that context, help you draft a letter that you could send to your landlord as if it was written by a lawyer. But what you could also do is to help you draft a initiating process that you can send to a mediator, a mediation center, or a rent tribunal that could get involved in that circumstance. Yeah, I've given the context of the legal problems. So why did we introduce all these tech tools to our workings in helping people access justice faster? We did this because we believe that we cannot scale with humans. It will take a lot of resources, and resources are constantly limited. The answer is scaling with tech. Tech, no matter the number of people using it, comparatively is still cheaper than the alternative. Our aim is to help people solve 10 to 20% of these legal problems, 25 million legal problems I earlier stated, with our solutions. And before I go to challenges we faced, I wouldn't know if my colleague, um, Joshua, would like to go through other things before I come back to the challenges. Joshua, would you like to take it away?
All right, no problem. Yeah. Okay. Just to double check, I hope everyone can see my screen.
Yes, we can.
Okay, thank you so much. So now, the implementation of AI assistance into Justice Clock. So, as we have said, Justice Clock is a case management system, and we introduced this AI assistance. So this AI assistant, what is going to do is to help the people working in the Ministry of Justice, the Anthony, to generate legal advice or charge sheets. And likewise, the AI assistants as well can help them to quickly search any sections of the law in Nigeria, as the AI is trained with mainly almost all the art and the state law in Nigeria. So in Justice Clock, let's have a scenario. So the AI assistants, for the AI assistants to work, we are just digitalizing it, to the manual way how it actually works. A police is going to send a report to a Ministry of Justice. Probably they are seeking for a legal advice or legal opinion on a particular case, right? So once the case has been received, they can go to Justice Clock, and with the help of the AI can analyze the report. So it will analyze the report for them, and it will search through it, give suggestion, and then look for any existing judicial precedent for that particular case. So let me just demo one of it. So the first step is like, okay, the Ministry of Justice received the file. So once the file has been received, um, it's going to be scanned, and once they scan the document, so they are going to upload the document on Justice Clock. So Justice Clock is going to extract the content out of the images. So once the content has been extracted out of the images, then the AI is now ready to analyze what the case is all about. So, and the second aspect is if the person in charge is actually ready, maybe probably he have more idea about the case, and is ready to type in a brief details about the case. So this is an example here, but um, a brief case, I mean, the brief story about the case is being typed, and they are going to send it to the AI, and the AI is going to pick it up, analyze what the case is all about, and give suggestion. So it's going to give suggestion on the case, and likewise, the essence of this is just to make it easy, is to make it easy for them, so that not that they will be looking at the document one after the other, and it will also search for any sections of the law that is related to that particular case. So the information that we pass to the AI is actually a story of impersonation. So, and the AI analyze the data, and they give out the response. And if we should check the response very well, it talk about the aspects of the law that is against impersonation in Nigeria, Section 373, and likewise, they also stated the Police Act that is even against it. And likewise, after all that, is going to give his own view. The AI is going to give his own suggestion. So we can see that in conclusion, it stated that the evidence actually breached the law in Nigeria, and there is enough ground for the case to be charged to court. So after this, the person working on the case or the attorney can actually have ideas about the whole case and continue, to give the legal advice or opinion as needed. So now on the produce aspect, as we said, we have also implemented the AI as well for produce. So produce is like a Uber for justice, as we have said in the introduction. So it's a platform whereby someone can come to create a case. So firstly, we have created a WhatsApp bot so that it will be very, very easy for users to create a case. Everybody is well familiar with WhatsApp in Nigeria. So people can just right away from their WhatsApp, they can create a case. So let's just have a demo on how a case can be created using WhatsApp bots on Podus. So this is a situation whereby the user, type in hello, and the AI is going to respond. So it's going to give an option of create case, my cases, track cases, and chat with AI. Since the user is creating the case, so the user will select create case and send it to the AI, and the AI will understand what the user actually wants to do. So three information will actually be collected. So the first one is case title, and then the case categories, and the details about the case. So having this, it will help our in-house lawyer or volunteer lawyer to pick up the case and to understand what the case is about. So the users have selected the category of the case, and this is the stage whereby the user is going to type the descriptions or the details of that particular case. So, and after that, so a case will be created. We have the information that the case has been successfully created, and an email is going to send to the user that your case has been created, and likewise, we are going to send the case as well to produce pool, where our volunteer lawyers can pick it up, or our in-house lawyer can pick it up for further. So another aspect of the AI as well is user interacting with the AI, like we have all mentioned in the introduction while we are talking about photos. So they can also use the AI on platform on photos to generate a legal document. These include maybe a letter of consent or they need to write an appeal letter to probably they are having issue with FRSC, and that they need to write appeal letter to them. In general, it's just a way to help user even without a lawyer. They can just generate a legal document. And likewise, additionally, the system also help user to, is a legal awareness for Nigerians as well. So let's have a demo on the how we can use the AI to compose a legal document, in a scenario where we have stated in the introduction, where someone wants to write a letter to his Lagos landlord, on the recent increase. So now on the use case one, the prompt is compose a letter to my landlord, to my Lagos landlord, regarding the rent increase, providing notice as per the terms outlined in the agreement. So now let's have the demo on the how this use case is being achieved. So the user interact with the produce bot. So in a way, the produce bot have been connected to the AI, to the AI. So the AI we just use the produce as a platform, right? So the user is going to select the AI that is needed. So it interacts with it with hello, and it's going to pick the option which is chat with AI. So after that, the produce bot understand that the section that this particular user wants is chatting with AI and interacting with the AI. So it's going to ask the user to go ahead and ask this question. So the prompt is to compose a letter to Lagos landlord regarding the recent increase. So after sending the command, the prompt, the AI is going to pause, look for the necessary information, and then send the response. So the response will be sent in form of a document for the user to open and then to do necessary edits. So this is the what the produce AI return about creating the letter, right? So it's just a platform to make it easy for the user. And the use case two is to compose a letter. Probably there is someone that's,
Hello, Joshua. If I may, because
yeah,
of the time allotted to us, if I may,
okay,
if we could quickly run to the challenges, yeah, we faced
oh,
implementing this. Yeah.
yeah. So,
Okay.
and yeah, thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you, Joshua. So just
Yeah,
to make it a little faster, I'll just share my screen once more and just talk about one couple of challenges we faced implementing this. The top on the list is working with the government. It's a whole lot working with the government, and sometimes you get good win when you have a new leadership in place. They are all excited and they want to drive the initiative, but sometimes these people leave, and it's difficult to sustain the same excitement you receive from the previous leadership. And working with the government data and all that, it's really a huge part, especially because our justice clock is institution focused. It's a government focused initiative to support the prosecutors to move faster with the way they charge people to court, and the produce is client faced. That one we've got a larger control compared to the government focused component. The other one is scalability. One of our choice, one of the reasons we chose WhatsApp is because of it's easy to scale. We could reach a lot of people via WhatsApp. It's easy for people to use WhatsApp, they don't need to learn new things using that platform. So in terms of skill, we kind of like identify platforms that would be easy for us to scale. But we didn't just come to this conclusion. We made several mistakes. Sometimes we would create apps, list it on Play Stores, and people would not download. And that's the easy way we think on a good day. But until we got to a conclusion that people are already familiar with WhatsApp, why don't we just use WhatsApp to reach out to people and leverage the API configuration in that area rather than building applications, standalone applications, and it's difficult for you to push it out and get user acceptance. The other part I want to list out is cloud storage. Of course, it takes a lot, to run cloud storage and all that. And that is one of the fears we've got in releasing the platform to the public. We can imagine now if 1,000 people start using the platform, it's going to quickly rack up our bill on the cloud storage we presently use. So those are some of the issues, and there are other challenges that we've also worked on. But I know that probably there are other feedbacks and questions that could help me streamline my thoughts in all those challenges. So over to you, Maria. Thank you.
Thank you all. I think, as we were saying in the beginning, and as I was posting in the chat, we would love to hear now which were some of the questions that you were left with, or some like of the challenges that Nelson was sharing that resonate with you, anything that you want to ask now. So we can make sure that we all get an understanding of what Nelson and Joshua were introducing. And yeah, we want to hear from you. Feel free of unmuting yourself, or if not, you can also post in the chat and we can share out loud for Nelson. Okay, there's a question in the chat, Nelson. I will share aloud. You can also read. And the question is from Saurabh, and it's asking, is the goal to make it easy for general legal writing or nuanced legal responses? What's been your learning generating longer responses? Also, how do users get the response has WhatsApp message or has a document attachment? Sorry for a slightly spread out series of questions. So we can go one by one, but I would say, yeah, we can start from the beginning on which is the goal for general legal writing or nuanced legal responses. You can see it in the chat, right, Nelson?
Yeah, so I'm
Okay.
just trying to analyze the question. Is the goal to make it easy for general legal writing or nuanced legal responses?
Should
So,
I explain my
Yeah.
thinking if that makes it easier?
okay.
No, I mean, one is so I'll give you a very simple example of something that I have tried, like which is like writing a contract, right? Like between two parties who are very unlikely to get into disputes. It'll be fine to write like one pager contract and just get into an agreement. But because people want to avoid the situations where disputes could arise, then you start including all the exclusions, you start including all the nuanced stuff, which is very contextual as well as like legally nuanced, right? And that's why like some of those documents would not be one pager, they would be like say 60 pager or like 100 pager, right? So that's what I was basically trying to understand, that in this particular situation, I think there's landlord and then there is a tenant, and there's some communication that needs to be aided. uh, is it that the requirement there are like fairly general, and that's why like smaller responses which are like by and large accurate, because that is what the goal is? Or are we saying that if I want to share a legal notice, which does not necessarily require a lawyer, but like someone to basically draft the issue in some sense, right? Like that is what you are aiming to sort of like provide. I don't know if it makes sense, but these are like two levels in which I was looking at it.
Yeah, many thanks for putting a context to that question, and it's really helpful. And I believe the goal is to solve general legal writing, just the simple, basic issues. I believe the complex issues, you still need to scale it up to lawyers. And that's why the beauty about the process with PODUS is that if you need more complex legal support, you can scale it to reaching out to the lawyers at the back end. So and that is where you can get connected to a lawyer to give you that complex legal support. But for simple tasks that you don't necessarily, for an educated, illiterate, and averagely literate Nigerian, it could navigate that legal problem with just getting the right words, the right position of the law, and it could help solve that problem for advanced and complex situation. Such a person would still need to scale it up. So we've not really built up the AI to treat those advanced situations. They still need to move forward to speaking to a lawyer. And also, we also feel that um, because at this moment, you need to be very careful. The advice you give or what you do with legal positions you maintain could mean a life and death situation. And speaking to a lawyer will be a more concrete and solid, will provide you with a more solid expertise than just using the platform at the moment. So it's for simple, not so complex scenarios. The other question is, how do you copy the outputs, the feedback you get from the AI? Essentially, it comes out as you can just copy it from the text from your WhatsApp or from the message, but there's a possibility of integrating it to generate a PDF later. But at the moment, it's you can just copy it out. So whenever I use the AI, I just copy it out from the text and paste it in a document, and I can further edit and work on it. Maria, and
Thank
I
you,
hope that.
Nelson. Yeah, Avanti is asking if you could elaborate a bit more on the legal awareness through the AI application, if there is a specific feature for that, or if it's a larger goal of the program.
Yeah, so there's a larger goal of the program, but what we are trying to do is for you to penetrate the market. That is a niche, and we're trying to create a niche through simple problems, but unique problems to people that are unique to people. So we're trying to penetrate the market through that niche before we start solving more issues. So with that, we gather users quickly, and it's more efficient for us to launch that way. But the application is for wider application.
Another question that is coming from Angela and Saurabh also. The question is if you have encountered any challenges with entities who regulate the practice of law in connection with PODUS, and if yes, how have you addressed them?
At the moment, we haven't, but we are also careful in the way we are building, and that's why we don't. If we do something that takes the business off the hands of lawyers in Nigeria, we'll get a lot of pushback from the Nigerian Bar Association. So we are careful with the way we're putting this tool into the hands of the public, not to maintain the balance, but also be helpful. So at the moment, we've not encountered, but also we are in our product development process. We are also careful to not to you know take the business off their hands. Maria, we can't help. We can't hear you. You're on mute.
Oops, sorry. No, I was thinking that all your responses were super helpful. I think they gave everyone a lot of clarity, and Smita wanted to make another point question. So
Yes, thanks, Maria. Thanks, Nelson and Joshua, for that. That was super interesting to hear. I wanted to just ask a quick question around scaling up that you had mentioned, how because you wanted to scale up the operations and using purely human resources would not have been very viable either financially or just as far as productivity is concerned. And that's why you also sort of leaned towards using technology. Um, would you say that even scaling up using technology, especially using AI, has its own sort of challenges? And I know you mentioned some of those. So just wanted to maybe double click a little bit on some of the ethical considerations that come into picture when we're talking about scaling up and reaching a larger audience. And what is sort of the technology? How does the technology also scale up? Because doing it at small scale for 10 people as a demo is very different than doing it for hundreds of thousands. So the cost implications, of course, also arise. But do you see yourself making many different decisions when it comes to the kind of team you have, the cost considerations, sort of deciding on the kind of areas of law to focus on when you're thinking of a larger audience? Sorry, slightly longer question, but
Yeah, thank you. Majority of our scale scale up initiatives or options are often led by user feedbacks. And once we see a track record or a traction of problems in that area, we tend to. So give for example, at the moment in Nigeria, there is a huge problem around loan app defamation. And loan app defamation is basically loan companies using digital means, defaming people to their friends and networks because those people have not paid on time. So because those loan apps grant you access to their contact, they extract the contact from the phone, and if you don't pay on time or even before the due date, they send defamatory messages. They could say the person has got HIV and AIDS, and they are trying to fundraise for that person, and people should donate to a given account number. So they do all those very terrible things, and we've seen a surge. So in such a scenario, we we learn of the problem and we try to scale to address those problems. So for example, what we're trying to do is how can we help people to address those loan app that has become a popular problem in the Nigerian context. But also the other um, ethical consideration that we're looking at is area of privacy. Of course, people exchange information with these chatbots and all that. And what we've done is to put in a filtration process in place to ensure that there is limited information that is exchanged between the model. However, we believe that as we scale, we'll need more hands to help, make that more advanced. For example, the AI, our system is still running from, we're leveraging the chat GBT, and our system is still interacting, even though there's a filtration system, but we prefer that the LLM model is on our server, as opposed to interacting with the through the filtration system with ChatGPT. So those are some of the things that I would love to do at at a bigger scale. Yeah. And
and
pardon me, have you gotten the question answered?
no,
Did
no,
you want me to?
absolutely. Sorry, I just had a quick follow-up question. Sorry, and
Okay.
um, what are some of the legal questions also that come up? Because I hear you talking about privacy and sort of having the data on local systems and not going outside. So, in fact, the questions that some of the questions we've been grappling with are, as soon as you scale up, let's say, a chatbot kind of system where users are coming and interacting and have the potential of sharing some personal information. So while you can say that please you can have a privacy policy in place saying that we will filter it out, we won't store it, etc. But is there a way to stop people from sharing it themselves? Because what if today I come and start, saying, okay, this is my address, I live here, what is a government welfare program that I might be eligible for? So over there, I think we've seen that there is really no way that you can control citizens on the information they're sharing, and even the privacy policies. The user experience really gets disturbed if you put the privacy policy in the system, saying that, oh, if only once you agree to this, then so on and so forth. So is there a sort of balance that you found out between ensuring that users feel comfortable and confident in being able to use the system, but also you're complying with all the sort of liability or the regulations that exist?
Yeah, so at the moment, the project is still at the testing phase, and there are still a lot of learners still going on with the testing phase. In terms of regulatory compliance. Of course, locally, we've taken into cognizance some of the initial regulatory compliance we need to address, and that's one of the privacy issues that I've mentioned. However, I believe that as we further test, some of all these things would arise, and we can spotlight and address them. But of course, I believe this platform is also a learning platform for everyone to share some of the things so that we don't make the same mistakes that had already been made by other people.
I guess that's an invitation for anyone to share what you've seen work in your own work. So maybe as you think about that, anyone here, if you have something to share there. I have a question of my own, Nelson, and it's going back to Justice Clock. It's just thinking about what it would be like for a member of the court to receive legal advice from the bot. Like I think on the first case of the charge sheet, it feels like it's more kind of connected to facts. Let's say like these are the laws and the precedents, and here's what you should know as you draft your charge sheet, and therefore there's less room probably for bias or judgments getting influenced, let's say, by the AI. Meanwhile, I would imagine that in the second case, where what you're asking for is legal advice based on precedents, there's a potential for like a uniformization of how members of the court or those who use the justice clock system would just end up getting maybe more and more formatted a certain way based on whatever biases might already be there or whatever worked really well in the past and gets just like fomented and strengthened that way. So I guess here comes my question. I could see that there are risks to that becoming more of the norm, unless there's some smart kind of social engineering, some friction essentially getting embedded in the system that forces essentially the person who needs to go fast because they have all this massive caseload, and that's what you're trying to help them with, is to ensure that they are more timely in their delivery of justice. But is there a certain amount of friction that you're trying to insert into that system so that the people are forced to think critically, essentially, about what advice they're being given? Or how are you thinking about this question? Or am I inventing an issue that's not actually there?
Okay, so the way we're thinking about this is ordinarily the routine at the moment by these prosecutors is once they get the facts of the case from the police, they need to apply the law based on what they know, based on the judicial precedents and the relevant laws. They need to apply it to that. And what this AI is essentially helping to do is to extract the relevant laws and extract the judicial precedent and bring it to fore for you so that you could easily get a glimpse of it. Instead of thinking through, it reduces your thinking time, your application of the application of your knowledge to the fact of the case. So it essentially helps you to reduce that. But it does not also remove the fact that you need to be critical, because in these prosecutors, in the process of case handling in the prosecutor's department, they have verification. So once you've drafted the initial document, you still need to share it with a superior to have a look at that document to ensure that it aligns based on the fact. So there is still a stopgap, more or less like a quality assurance process still handled. Fine, we're helping to reduce the time somewhere, but there is still a quality assurance manned by human somewhere that ensures that all the critical thinking and application of the law is still in place. I hope that helps.
It does. Thank you.
Yeah, I would say following with Nelson's invitation, I don't know if any of you want to share like which were some of the challenges that resonated with what you might be facing on your organization, or if not, I will pose another question to Nelson. But I would love to hear and to see if there are common challenges that we can also address together or learn from, at least in this group.
And maybe if I can highlight one that's come
Yeah.
up for you, like in the presentation, Nelson, was around cost, right? And Smita alluded to it as well. I know that that's a common challenge, and it's connected to scaling. And I'm curious for both about you, Nelson, but other people in the group around whether any of you have found workarounds around how to make this, how to ensure it remains affordable or free for those that you're trying to serve, while also, keeping your costs down. And here you're talking about cloud storage, but I imagine also there's the inference costs to the actual large language models that you're pinging constantly, that you would have to, watch out for. So if anybody has some thoughts around this, I know it's a common challenge for many.
So one of the things we've been thinking about, the first thing on our box is to limit the level of how many times people can query that in a day. So we'll probably limit that to maybe a couple of few times, maybe 3-4 times, just to reduce the cost in the number of pings and tokens that are being used there. And also, one other thing that we're looking at is, of course, with using the WhatsApp, it's also help us reduce the cost in terms of maintenance and all that. But in terms of cloud storage, we've still not figured that out. In terms of cloud storage, as we scale and as it increases, I believe we've still not figured that out. We are not using AWS, which is the popular and the top 3 popular cloud services: AWS, Google, and Azure. We are not using those. We're using DigitalOcean at the moment because it's cheaper for us to test with and to just manage with. And that's just to help us limit our cost. But of course, we are learning. It's a learning platform for everybody. And by the way, just to clarify on remaining free, our purpose is to ensure that it's free, because the people we're trying to serve is people that are vulnerable and underserved and or other category demography of people. And majorly our support comes from donor funds, and that is where we try to pull some of this into. But of course, too, we are looking at, to sustain our organization, we're looking at how can we come up with other ideas that can be paid, and we could use that funds to support these free initiatives that we run. Majority of our of what we do at the moment, if not all, is free. But of course, we're thinking outside the box on how we could come up with some solutions that can be paid just with the hope of funding. But in the short to mid term, even if we are successful with that, with those, we think that majority of the support will still be on donor funds, because that is where the bulk of before you can rack up revenue in other social enterprise, paid social enterprise, it takes a while before you can get users, retain users, and wrap up revenue that could sustain. It takes a while. So the bulk of our support is still donor funds, and we're hoping with that it could be free. And we are hoping we keep getting it so that it could be free as well. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Nelson. I like how you frame it, like how to look into reducing costs into the user experience and also in the way you deploy the solution. So I don't know if there's no more comments. I would ask you, looking more a bit into the future and projecting 3 years from now, which ones you think, Nelson, that are going to be some of the biggest challenges and opportunities that AI would represent for your organizations, and like challenges and opportunities that you might face looking more into the long term or midterm, kind of.
Yeah, I think one thing I've learned is there is a way trends influences things. If, for example, the climate change has really influenced the way people consume meat and the way people live. And I've also seen that in the next couple of years, there will definitely be trends. I see the emergence of many AI out there, and I see the potential of how can you create an ecosystem or build with ecosystem in mind, where you can um, network through an API, talk to each other, so that you don't just recreate what someone else has created. So since in the next couple of years, I'm hoping to see that there will be more AI there, then there's potential for you to build, to leverage API to connect with those AI, and you have potential for you to do more with AI. So I'm looking at it in that context. In terms of challenges, I'm looking at it in terms of digital transformation is growing. So it's AI, but it's essentially still digital transformation. That will be threats. That will be digital threats. And we would probably see more uh, emerging digital threats that we can't think of at the moment. So how do we secure some of this digital stack that we're putting in place at the moment to ensure that we have a higher level of cyber resilience? As I wouldn't know, but I'm coming from a CSO background. We often have limited resources. We are constantly battling with how can we shrink our donor funding to last longer. So it's a lot for us to say we want to build and put a lot on cybersecurity. It's a lot. It takes a lot of funds and resources. So I'm hoping that we can build a cluster that we could also leverage to enhance our cybersecurity. So from this meeting room, what are the learnings from different people that we could use to build a cybersecurity resilience for the products we develop? What are the things that we could learn? What are the things that we could so easily everyone could enhance together the cybersecurity of whatever they are building, and not just work isolated, that it would increase the cost of that person that is working in isolation. But together we can find a solution somewhere there to combat the threats that comes with digital transformation. Yeah.
Thank you, Nelson. I think this ecosystem mindset, it resonates a lot with what we were hearing last session from Smith and Sachin. And I think we get your invitation not to start envisioning some of the threats and try to mitigate the risk on time. So I think it's also one reason for all of us to be here and to learn of the challenges that we might face. So yes, I don't know if there's no more questions. I think maybe we can, and I don't know you want to wrap up, or maybe like share about what's coming next week, and then we can, yeah.
Exactly. Just a couple of closing thoughts. And thank you so much, Nelson and
Thank you.
Joshua, for bringing your ideas into this platform. Next week, like I put in the chat, we're actually launching, this is a project that we took on together also between Ashoka and OpenAI, where we gathered case studies from around the world of social entrepreneurs leveraging AI and as a result, shaping AI for social impact. And we'll be presenting essentially through a couple of panels what it is that we're seeing happening around the world. Lots of chatbots, as we've seen in both last session and this session, but being put to really great use in lots of different cases, whether it's in health or journalism, tackling misinformation, justice, of course, and you're all invited. So we hope you can join. That will be the next session of this series, though a little broader than the justice space more broadly. And yes, the other thing that Maria just put here is a link to the last session that we had, and you'll find, and we'll share it with you all after this, but we're going to be putting all of these sessions into a playlist so they're easy to find, and we can start seeing as an aggregate both what are the great opportunities we're all leveraging, and also what are some of the challenges. So we'll keep coming back to this question of the common challenges, so that we can start seeing, you know, what can we do to help each other surmount some of them, so we can be a little bit stronger than the sum of our parts here. So, Smita, I don't know if you want to say anything before we close.
No, thanks, Anay. I think you covered it. Thanks so much, Nelson, Joshua, for this amazing talk.
Great. So
Thank
we'll
you
see
all.
you again next week, and then we'll have another session the week after that. We'll keep you posted on that one, but it should be exciting.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah.
Bye,
Bye-bye.
everybody.
Bye bye.
Thank you and bye.
Yeah, thank
Bye.